So, as we further this conversation, and unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to be here all night tonight.
You sound like a preacher, don't you?
I'm gonna tell you this one thing. I'm gonna get out your way.
No, so I want to ask you guys a question that I really feel will resonate with our audience, right? And I'm gonna start with you, John F. For the best piece of advice that anybody has ever given you, and what that did for your trajectory.
As I said, I went to a HBCU, and when you go to a HBCU, they'll say, close the door, close your books, let's talk life. And they tell you, let me tell you when you leave here, what you're gonna live in. And there was one, Miss Cannon, was our history teacher. You could not even pass that class without showing your voter's registration card. She said, too many people died for you to have the right to vote, and you're not going to come through my class without showing that card. But she said something to us. She says, you're going to have to work hard, but if you learn 3 things in life, you can go anywhere. If you can read, you can talk, and you can write. They can never stop you. They can never stop you. And I took that literally. Read, learn how to speak, and learn how to write. Because if you write and you learn how to write, because most people write how they speak. Then after you write it, speak it out loud so you can hear it, and this don't sound right. So then you begin to train yourself how to write. That lady taught me, if you get those 3, and I was a juvenile probation officer before I was a pastor.
Okay.
And I heard judges tell a kid, talk me out of sending you to jail.
Can't even do it.
Couldn't do it, because he couldn't speak, because he couldn't communicate. So that changed my entire life. So everything I do from reading, speaking, and writing.
Reading, speaking, and writing.
And no one can stop me.
Yeah, absolutely.
First of all, I want to completely underscore everything that Pastor Hannah just said. I am obsessed with rhetoric. It is the most powerful thing on earth. This world moves off words.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it literally moves. If you can master language, you can get into anywhere you want to. So I want to underscore that.
Talk yourself into anything.
No, literally. Like, I obsessively study rhetoric just for the science of it. You dig what I'm saying? So I agree. For me, best thing that I've ever learned. So I was in a dark depression, probably like 2011 or 2012, and like I was what they call passively suicidal. Didn't learn about that until later. Passively suicidal is mean like you ain't courageous enough to actually shoot yourself, but if you got hit by a car today, that would be advantageous for you. That's passively suicidal. You just ready to get up out of here. That's how I felt like 2011. Eventually, I discovered, and this is so stereotypical, I sound like an infomercial, The Secret. You've probably heard of it, the concept of the law of attraction. And that's a very beautiful, and it was extremely empowering. Essentially, you can do, be, and have anything that you desire. You have to see only what you want. Focus on your dreams. Focus on what you love. Focus on what is beautiful, and invite more of that into your life. When you consistently focus on what is wrong and what's negative, and you're always in that lower energy state, you attract more of that to you. Like, that's actually true. Right. It's actually true. You have the power. You have the actual power within you to create a better world if you will believe it enough. If you will believe it enough. Because everything is power from belief. Everything is power from belief. Believe. Yeah.
I'm actually going to steal it from him, from a sermon he said during COVID. One of the things he said is, how you pivot is how you prosper. So,
that's where that came from?
That's where that came from. Shout out to
that was our mantra for 2020. I know that came from him.
That came from him.
Yeah.
Because like that, it was about obviously COVID because we all had to pivot, right? But it's so applicable in life. Like if you get fired from your job, how you pivot is how you prosper. That girl breaks up with you, how you pivot is how you prosper. Even y'all have a fight, like you got to do internal reflection. Like everybody, like always say, like it's not your plan, like it's God's plan for you. But at the same time, you have to be able to pivot along the way to understand, because He might open a door for you that you might not even thought was even existed. Yeah. So how do you recognize that? And when you have this, how do you pivot in that moment? Having the wherewithal, having the foresight, having the mental clarity, the personal stability to look inside and say, okay, this might not be what I thought it was going to be, but I can't give up. I can't stop here. I have to pivot in this moment. And when you realize, when you embrace the ability to pivot, that's how you're going to prosper moving forward, because you understand that what's happening next is just the next phase in the journey. So it's not stopping now. You weren't detrimented. It didn't deter you. It didn't knock you off your path. You just pivoted.
Right.
So you wanted to go left. You had to hit 3 rights, but now you back in the right direction.
Right.
So
It's good.
I like that. Literally, that was our mantra as a brand for Black Menswear. How you pivot is how you prosper.
Yeah.
One of the biggest lessons that I learned, and I speak this all the time. And again, I'm gonna say this again because I said it in the past. If you heard it once, you're gonna hear it again. I am the best version of me ever created. Because I'm the only version of me ever created. But once I understood that, I'm not John, I'm not Charity, I'm not Evan. Once I understood that about myself, then I started to grow within that. Because then I realized I can't compare myself to what successes you have and what successes you have and what successes you have. Because it's not my path to get there. That has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? It really doesn't. And once I started understanding that, and then started realizing that I'm gonna be okay if I just keep being me. Keep doing me. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You're gonna have bumps and bruises that come along the way, but as long as I stay consistent, and as long as I, continue to focus on getting better every day or every week or every month or every year, however we quantify improvement, at that point, that's where I began to I started living as NeAndre, and I wasn't living as being somebody else or trying to do what somebody else did, because at that point I realized, let them do them, I'm gonna do me, and what happens with me doing me is what's supposed to happen, right? If I'm not doing me, then I will never get to what the goal is. I'll never get to the result, because I'm so worried about being somebody else. I'm just running in a circle. And so looking at it from that perspective, really bringing what you three have brought together. I mean, I feel as though what our audience is looking for, you guys are each doing it in a way that's different, right? Having the success of being in an agency where they weren't even looking for Black talent when we talk about influencer marketing, right? Being a free spirit to be able to go out and say, that's the norm because you think it's the norm, but this is what you have access to when you really think about it. And being a leader in the community. The fact that you said you ain't trying to get up out of here, you want to live here
love
still.
this city, man.
And, but that's important for somebody that's like, oh, I can't look to him. He don't know what I'm going through. Nah, bro, I live down the street from you, right? And having that presence, because I think presence is a big thing that all of us have in different ways. Our presence is something that influences and impacts other people, because they see the opportunity and they look to you like, man, you know what? If he did it, I may not get exactly what he has, right? Because again, don't compare yourself to other people, but it gives you optimism and it gives you opportunity, I think, from that. One of my final, again, I'm coming back. One of my final.
Another close.
As I was saying.
I know y'all trying to get to that game.